Welcome to Soul Led Lifestyle Podcast with me, Adele McCoy, and my magical guests, giving you the strategy, tools, and activation you'll need to create your soul-led life. Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Soul Led Lifestyle Podcast with me, Adele McCoy. Today we have the wonderful Kelly Ann, and she is a mind, body, and soul psychic who helps empathic entrepreneurs, sensitive leaders, and conscious artists unblock bigger and better in business, love, and health. So she rock and rolls with big energies in the quantum field and the inner landscape of her clients to shift what is stagnant and unlock their superpowers. So you need to listen, tune in, enjoy, and I will see you on the other side. Hey Kelly, how are you? Thank you so much for coming on. Amazing.
Thank you. I'm wonderful. Thank you for having me. Thank you for what you're creating and inviting me to be a part of it.
You are so welcome. So we're going to dive right in now. Can you tell me a little bit about life as a child? What was your world like?
Oh, we are diving right in, aren't we? Okay. Life as a child was very challenging. I come from a lineage of abuse that was passed on and passed on and passed on that stopped at my generation, that I had done the work to stop it. I came into a family as a accidental pregnancy to a teen mom, where she didn't have the support of her family at all, and she was in her own trauma as well. And so that, as we move through life, things from the outside looked okay, but what was really happening was quite a challenge. Very, very challenging. And, when I speak to my clients, I talk about our past was our initiation. And I can look back now and see that all of the gifts that I have as a psychic and an intuitive and a clairvoyant, being able to do the work that I do over the phone across the world, my training grounds were from my childhood.
Wow.
And what I noticed in my experience is that the relationships that I continue to have through my life were reflections of what I had learned as a child about who I was, what was safe, the worthiness that I did or did not have continued to perpetuate through my relationships as I was growing up. And it wasn't until I made a life-altering decision that changed the entire trajectory of my life that I was able to see all of that I see now and take what had happened to me and create magic with it, create change, and be a ripple effect on the world, supporting others who have magic in them, but maybe their past experiences have taught them that they're not good enough or there's something wrong with them. I work with a lot of black sheeps of the family, people that don't feel like they belong, people that have are neurodivergent. They think differently, they create differently, and they didn't fit in. And, they have persevered, and they come to me knowing that there's something within them to bring out into the world. And just like I did it for myself, extracting that, I support others in doing that as well.
Amazing. So when would you say was like the pivotal moment when you decided, right, this has to be my work, this is what I'm here to do?
Well, it's interesting because, I grew up so in the family unit, and, in the era, it was we were taught, get a job, get into corporate, like get security through a job. And I did that. And I remember I started working when I was like 13. I was babysitting, and then I would work at the local grocery store. And then my grandfather worked for a larger grocery store corporation. So I went into that, and I advanced very quickly in all of the jobs that I had. But even at like 15, 17 years old, there was something deep inside of me that I knew that I was meant to help people. I knew deep inside I'm meant to help people, but I didn't have anybody around me that was an example of that. And so then I continued through my careers, and I started to explore being a therapist. I started to explore, some of the traditional ways of, how I could be supportive to people beyond being in a service industry, like grocery store and restaurant and stuff like that. And part of the conditioning of the childhood was, get a husband and have the career and the house and the white picket fence and, 1.5, 2.5 children, whatever that means.
Mm-hmm.
And I was in a relationship for 11 years, and we were engaged. And it looked like everybody else is around me, but something still didn't feel right.
Mm-hmm.
I was secure. I had a corporate job. I had the relationship. I had the house. I had safety. And it felt like I was trying to squish into like a pair of tight jeans after a big meal.
Yeah.
And I made the decision to end that relationship.
Wow.
I was like, ended it, and very quickly and very abruptly. And the day that I made the decision, he left the house that we owned together.
Wow. That's
And
huge.
yeah, it was very, very, very abrupt. And that is what changed everything for me. I was actually seeing at the time 2 different therapists, because of what was like, I was exploring within. There was something within, and I couldn't pinpoint it because on the outside world, I had all the things. So what's wrong here? And in my exploration, I was at a corporate job at that time, and one of my girlfriends came up to me, and she's like, she knew what I was going through, and she's like, my cube mate just gave me this flyer, and it was for an energy medicine practitioner. She's like, my cube mate just gave this to me. She's like, maybe this is what will help you. And I had never heard of anything about energy medicine or energy healing or Reiki or any of the alternative medicines that I'm in in the crux of right now. And I went to my first session with her, and it was like years of healing in one session. And I continued to work with her, and she at one point said to me, she's like, you have this inside of you. Like you could be doing this work. And she invited me to the school that she attended, and I learned all about it. And when I was sitting in the presentation, like the hairs in the back of my head were like standing on its end. And it's just continued to evolve from there. And, ultimately what happened was, 2 years later, I opened up my own business where I was doing hands-on healing with people. And I didn't know anything about manifesting. I didn't know anything about creating your reality. I didn't know
Mm-hmm.
anything about alignment. I didn't know anything. And at the time, I was working corporate. I was seeing clients at night. There was a point in time I was finishing my college degree. And then I was also going to school in another state for my holistic health counseling degree, because in my journey I had lost 100 pounds and kept it off after
Wow.
years of roller coaster dieting, up and down and up and down and up and down, only to realize later on that the extra weight that I was holding was actually a protective mechanism to from some of the unhealed things within me, and to try to keep people away. And so it just continued to evolve from there. And um I mean, I walk my talk. I live this way. I live in magic. I live in alignment and creation and flow. And I say that choice is our superpower. I
Mm-hmm.
could have chosen to stay in that relationship and just kind of sucked it up
Yeah.
and ignored what was really going on within me. But I think and I truly believe that when we ignore what that inner voice is that our life does get chaotic, our bodies get chaotic.
Mm-hmm.
And when we move aside and we make the courageous choices, we can be catapulted onto the life path that we're here for.
Definitely. Wow, that
Yeah.
story is just, you know, it's amazing because, like you said, you knew it. The way you described it is just so on point. Like it was like eating a big meal and trying to fit into a tight pair of jeans, and it is. You feel like you're too big for this, not in a big-headed way, but there's too much of you that needs. It's like there's so much of you, and there's no way you can fit in this tiny little hole. There's no way that this could be it. You know, I totally get that, and I hear that through some of my clients. That same sort of, I don't know what it is, but I know I'm meant for bigger things. I'm not sure. My life is okay, but there's something missing, and the fact that you saw that and felt that and acted upon it, and everything happened straight away. Like almost like cleared out the way for you, so that you could see a path that you wanted to walk along. It's just amazing, really, and it's really courageous. Um, so I'm sure there's going to be listeners out there that's going to totally relate to this, what you're saying, and be like, oh, this is me now. I need to do what I've got to do, sort of thing. So then, obviously, how long now then have you been doing this type of work with clients and
So I
stuff?
was in Yes, so it's almost 20 years now.
Wow. Okay.
Almost 20 years now. And the one thing that I want to say also about the courageous choices is that it's like it's like that, like exactly what you said, then things just started popping up.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember sitting at my corporate job, and some ad came up for holistic health counseling, and I didn't know anything about that either. So things just start to come into your life almost magically. And so it's about having an awareness of paying attention to what's showing up,
Mm.
and, you know, feeling for yourself. Like, this is why it's like the body is such an important, it's like the GPS for
Yeah.
our intuition. If we can feel, right? So many of us are like, I was so much living in my head,
Mm-hmm.
most of my life, but like living in our body, we can tune into our intuition, and we can start to know what choices are best for us, or aligned. And we're going to still feel fear when we
Mm-hmm.
go to make those choices. We're still going to feel the fear. We're still going to, um, how do I want to say this? The fear is still going to be there, but we get the opportunity and the invitation to make the choice to move forward without knowing if it's going to work out, if it's the right thing, what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Our intuition, our inner knowing will tell us to go that way,
Yeah.
versus staying in the comfort zone which is, you know, people find a lot of comfort in their discomfort inside the comfort zone.
They do.
So as uncomfortable as it is, you know, they're still in it and it feels safe, but it's still uncomfortable.
Exactly. And I always say, when you make a heartfelt decision into the unknown, because it's a gut feeling you have, everything happens. Everything just opens up. It's like, thank God she's done it. Right, we can give her this now. We can give her that. She's closed that door. Let's give her all these things that she's been asking for the last 6 months. You know, but explaining that to someone who maybe wants to leave their job, knows they need to leave their job, but their job is their only form of income. They're hearing it, but it's like the thought of just not knowing what you're going to do or how you're going to pay next month's bills once you leave your job. It scares them. And I'm like, just know that you're held. Just know, because you've made that heartfelt decision, the opportunities will come in. There may be a little bit of a struggle next month, but you'll be surprised where money will start coming in from, you know. And I've always found that myself. When I make decisions, it's like, oh, wow, this has happened, that's happened. It's just all coming together, you know, but it's being brave enough and courageous enough to make that decision, isn't it?
Absolutely. You know, when I was doing all the things, so I was working during the day, I was seeing clients at night, I was traveling, and I was staying overnight because I was in another state for weekend holistic health counseling school. I would be walking into my corporate job, pretending it was my last day, imagining, feeling, thinking about the party they were throwing me that day. And then I only did this a few times. And again, I was still like early on in the journey. You know, I've been doing this for 20 years now. It was still early on in my journey. And I would leave and I would pretend I was carrying out my personal belongings and it was the end of my day and we were going to a happy hour to celebrate. And Adele, within, I would say 2 weeks, I was working from home one day and a friend of mine from holistic health counseling school was with me. She was visiting from another state. And I had a meeting with my boss over the phone. I didn't know what it was about. He eliminated my position. I had no idea it was coming. There weren't any rumors, you know, that you hear that, oh, your job. He eliminated my position.
Wow.
Which freed me up to expand my business. I was given, it was about 7 months of severance pay and unemployment pay to like whatever, you know, so it was like I had all this financial support as I was continuing to expand my business.
Yeah.
And so it evolved. It continued to evolve. I was doing hands-on healing. I integrated health coaching in there, right? Because it's the way that I see it is that we are a whole system. I can't just look at one area of your life and not address how another area of your life is impacting it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I see everybody as a whole. And then it continued on and I did love coaching with clients and just built that in. So relationship and health and business and money. And, you know, really as it's continued to evolve, what I see who I draw in right now are the artists and the healers and the sensitives and those that, you know, entrepreneurs that, and even, you know, just these, you know, black sheep of the family inside these family units intentionally to support, you know, creating a ripple effect of healing through their family lineage.
Wow, that is amazing.
Yeah.
So where do you kind of see yourself in sort of 5 years' time? Have you got anything, you know, big that you're wanting to bring to the table? Big and scary, as I say.
You know, I'd say that what I'm in the midst of creating and what I'd love to see in 5 years' time is that there is a wealth of knowledge that people will have access to that I've created about my journey and how to follow their own journey,
Mm-hmm.
because everybody's journey is different, and but anybody that has a desire to continue to grow and evolve and expand, and has a deep knowing that there's something more, like more within them,
Mm-hmm.
I want to have something for them to find so that they can follow along their way.
Yeah.
I do see a book. I see a book or maybe a couple coming through me,
Yeah.
and wherever that ends up taking me,
Yeah.
I'm, living in flow. I would say, like, I just follow the desire, which is that I leave a legacy and an impact behind for people who are going through their journey to find. And
Mm-hmm.
however that shows up for me, I'll just keep showing up for it.
Right. Yeah. And with the clients that you currently have, do you have any like real cool like success stories, if you like, that you'd like to share with like people that have come and worked with you and completely transformed and changed their world because of that?
Oof. You ask me and I get chills. Yes. Let me feel into, there's well, there's a couple. One of them, it's a very interesting story. How we met is I was hiking,
Yeah.
and she was hiking with her dog, and we just happened to, like, kind of cross paths on the hike. And there's different paths that you can come up, and some of it is pretty intense. And so we just started to walk at one point together, and we just started to have a conversation. And at one point she ended up getting a phone call, and I just went on my way, and went to the top of the mountain, enjoyed my view, and then came back down. And somehow or another we met up again on the way down. And speaking to her now about it, she actually got lost.
Oh.
And and that's how we ended up connecting together at the bottom of going down the mountain. So, long story short, she is a healer in her own way through owning her business as a physical therapist.
Okay.
And she's a yoga instructor, yoga teacher. And, we spoke one time, and I was having a retreat, and she said, "Tell me about this retreat." And I did. And she's like, "Oh, well, yeah, I go pretty deep in my work already." I was like, "Awesome." But something led her to step in to the work that I was doing. So fast forward, we've probably known each other now for 5 years. She's done a bunch of work with me, and she is now, like, so she came from a family who she felt like the black sheep. She didn't belong. Nobody understood her. Wasn't in her power. She had two divorces behind her. She was feeling very heartbroken, betrayed. And now she has taken over her entire business that she had a partnership with. She released that partnership because that partner was not in alignment with who she is and where she's expanding and bringing the business to. Because I see the business is actually just, it's it's a channel for which our art comes through.
Yeah.
And recently her mom had passed, and in the past she used to get really frustrated when people would cancel plans last minute. And because she was the good girl,
Mm-hmm.
right? She didn't cancel things. Even if she didn't want to do the thing, she would still do it. She was living a lot of her life for other people.
Yeah.
because she wanted to find ways to belong. She wanted to be the good girl. Well, this one day, she was meant to go out of town with some friends, and she had an intuitive hit to stay close to home. That afternoon, she got a call from where her mom was saying, "We think your mom is passing." She went to the center, and she was with her in a very heart opened, expansive, centered, grounded place. She said the entire room was filled with light and the support and these guides that were helping her with her, like, and she said the energy was so massive. She learned how to work with massive energies and big frequencies.
Mm-hmm.
And she supported her mom in transitioning over to the other side. And it wasn't a, you know, scary, painful, sad experience. It was something that she felt very empowered by. She felt very strong and grounded in. And, it was like an honoring experience for her.
Yeah.
And she feels like this is something she may even do moving forward with, to support others.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a lot.
And then I have one quick one. I don't know how much time we
No,
have,
no, we've
but
got time.
there's a client. Oh, okay. There's a client that was referred to me actually from someone that I went to energy medicine school with, another practitioner. And this client came to me bedridden for months, unable to drive her car, dizzy, nauseous all the time, and pretty bad shape. Like, when people do come to me, what's very, very important is that they have this strong will. They have this strong knowing. They have this strong, like, hell yes,
Mm-hmm.
whatever's happening. And we did a session. She wanted to feel me out. She had just been introduced to me. She was an artist. She is an artist. She went to art, she went to school for art 13 years ago, but wasn't doing art for 13 years. She ended up in a corporate job, and she had gone into some healing processes that actually brought her to this place of being bedridden, nauseous, passing out, unable to drive. And after the first session, she started her art again.
Wow.
And so we've worked over some time because, people, yes, I talk, my business is called Make Big Magic. Magic does happen, but I also believe that there is an evolutionary process, because if we go too quickly, and I've seen this happen with many people, is they go too quickly,
Mm-hmm.
and it just causes a lot of chaos in their life.
Yeah.
The integration isn't there. It's like, yeah, it causes a lot of chaos. And so over the time that we've been working together, she's out of bed, she's doing art, she's driving, her health is better. She was, restricting her foods. She's not restricting her foods anymore. Her relationships are changing. And we've only been together for 3 months now.
Wow.
And yeah, and her art has expanded in a way. So she's a painter, but in our work together, she started to use her voice and play piano, and she's recording things now.
Oh,
And
wow.
it's
That's just
amazing.
mind
Yeah.
blowing. Like, um, she must be so grateful for you, to have got
Yeah.
her out of that space.
Yeah.
And I guess some of that is probably to do with the fact that she was suppressing who she was meant to be. That's why she ended up so ill and all of those things. And you was able to see that in her and help her with that. Um, I love it. I
It's
love it.
I would tell you, it's part of that. It's part of the suppression, and also there there this may be a little controversial, but I see that there is what I would call like a self-help matrix where
Mm-hmm.
people actually get caught up in the process of healing and healing and healing and healing and actually never going anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
So what she was in is she was deep into this place of digging deep and trying to find things that needed to be healed. And that just keeps people in a loop. And she was in these emotional loops and wasn't moving forward. And there's something coming through about that. Oh, she actually sent me a message just a couple of days ago where she was just like, this thing happened for her, a shift in her relationships happened, and she was celebrating that. And she's like, I set the intention for this to happen. She wanted, I'm not giving out too much information. She set the intention to resolve some challenges that she had with communication,
Mm-hmm.
in particular with relationships that she's close to. And it just rose up to meet her. She's like, I don't have to dig.
Yeah.
It was just here.
Yeah.
And it can resolve like this because she chooses, right? She can choose to get caught up in the drama of whatever's happening, or she saw like, okay, what is this here for me? And what do I actually desire? Because our moments are manifesting one moment at a time. And we can
Mm-hmm.
create an entirely different reality and experience.
Yeah.
And that's what happened for her
Wow.
without having to dig.
Oh, that's amazing, Kellyanne. Oh, wow. So if you could give someone three three bits of advice around trying to live in the 5D, what would you say to them? You know, someone who's quite new on their spiritual journey, you know, doesn't really know where to start but knows that they're ready. What three words of advice would you give them?
The first I'd say is develop the relationship with yourself. Have an intimate relationship with yourself. You know, radical self-love, acceptance, compassion. The things that you desire from another, give them to yourself. The things that trigger you by another, ask yourself, how am I doing that to me? That's one.
Yeah.
Two, take responsibility for the things that are happening in your life as if you created everything.
Mm-hmm.
Because I believe everything is happening for you. And when the things come to us that are triggering or painful or disruptive, I see those experiences as supporting us and helping release the inner density that we hold within.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a greater aspect that's calling to you these experiences to support you in releasing the beliefs, the pain, the traumas, the limitations that aren't serving you.
Yeah.
So that's two. And number three would be relax more, have more fun, play. There really isn't anything that you need to do. Keep finding the better feeling, the better feeling thought, and pay attention to, you know, who you are around and with and what you're listening to and how that makes you feel. And start to release what doesn't make you feel good, because that is going to support your energy and your frequency and coming more in alignment with that inner knowing that there is something more.
Mm-hmm. Amazing. Thanks for that.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
lovely advice. Okay. So, as you know, grounding and protection is very important in our world. And, you know, I'm sure you've got a few clients that are the same, but some of my clients will come and say, you know, I'm finding it really hard to ground and protect, or I'm not being consistent with it, or, oh, I just don't know where to start. I don't know what to do. So what I've been doing, I've been asking all my guests how they ground and protect so that we can give them some inspiration. How do you ground and protect?
That's a great question. It's like where I am now in my journey, my field already works for me.
Mm-hmm.
So anything that is, and I will share what others, you know, coming into this journey, but whatever is not in alignment with my field and how I've built it and what is for my highest and best just doesn't even penetrate.
Mm-hmm.
If it does come in and if it's for me, then I'll do whatever work I need to do at the time. There are some times where I can feel there is a overload of energies that are like wanting to come in.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I do is I tune into my inner light, we'll call it the essence that I am. And then I just bring that out and I brighten it and I brighten it and I brighten it.
Mm-hmm.
And I just expand it all around me. The other practices that I have in place is when I do any kind of intense energy work or emotional work, I will use Palo Santo to sage myself. Let me just see if there's anything else that wants to come through. Yeah. And sometimes I have these helpers that are dragons, mm-hmm. that I will just bring them in and have them be guards at my field. Mm-hmm. You know, a lot of times I find myself doing that when I'm going to sleep at night. Oh. So when I go to sleep at night, because, you know, we travel, yeah. I, you know, expand my field and then I bring my dragons in.
Oh, wow. That sounds really powerful. Ain't no one coming near you. And what is your favorite crystal and why?
Oh goodness. I have so many, and well, it's an interesting question too. So my house is surrounded with them. I have them, and what I will add before I answer is that my crystals are as powerful as I've decided them to be. Right? Because I remember at the start of my journey, if I went out and I didn't have a crystal in my pocket or my bra, like I didn't feel like protected. Mm-hmm. Right? And that doesn't dismiss that I still feel that they have, you know, some magic within them because I've charged them in that way. The one so I'm sitting as I'm talking, I'm waiting for the crystal to show itself. And the one that wants to come through is the clear quartz crystal. Okay. And I love it because it's clear. It's just, I'm trying to see if it's one of the ones I got a long time ago. Yeah, it's just one that's been with me for, you know, quite a few years now, and it's shaped in like a sphere. It has a nice little point at the top, and it was almost like this is the answer. I was like, what? Why do I love it so much? It's like things can come through it, and this is, you know, how I see my work too, is things can come through it and it's transformed.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh,
yeah.
Wow. Okay. It's like I love the crackle quartz, which I've got here, and so it's a bit like clear quartz, but it's crackly inside.
Ooh.
Yeah, and it's broken, but I still have to have it everywhere I go. I use it in meditation and everything. The same thing is because it's clear. It's like giving me a clear answer, a clear view of things. You know, it's not, you know, as we try and bring in the energies and try and like, especially when you're doing like readings and stuff, you want to be more clear. And I find that when I've got that, it gives me a clear view of everything, you know. So that's why I like that one. But
Yeah.
amazing. So
Oftentimes when I'm speaking, I'll have a labradorite on me. I didn't wear it today, but you know, labradorite, and where I do my sessions, there's a crystals, and usually when I do a talk, I'll have something at my feet as well to like ground me.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I love crystals, and like you, it's the power that we put in them. I know a lot of people will just buy them because they look lovely, and some of them feel the energy from it. But I believe if you're going to buy a crystal, you should really like, you know, become acquainted with your crystal and know why you've picked it, why it needed to be in your life, you know, and so that you pick it out for those things. So, you know, obviously you do different things and a bit like me. So I will use certain crystals in certain work that I do, you know. And then like you, there's certain crystals I have to have around with me all the time. And yeah, so I absolutely love my crystals. They're a great tool to have in the work that we're doing, you know.
I love to go to this store, and I might be inspired actually. There's one right up the street from me. To go in and just see which one stands out and pick it, and then see what the properties are. And usually it's right in line.
Yes, all the time. um, so could you share with the audience what offers, courses, anything that you may have coming up, and also how they can find you? I'm gonna make sure that I put everything under the post anyway, but share as well.
Oh, okay. Okay, sure. Thank you. So, coming up in September, I'm going to be doing a course on intuition. So, clearing your system to have a stronger, deeper connection with your own intuition and your own inner knowing, and, how to listen to it and how to have the courage to take those steps, and then inside a group, you'll have the support to be able to, do the scary thing and, celebrate the magic that comes from that. I have where people can start with me is if they're interested or not quite sure, like, is energy medicine my thing? Can she really help me with, the physical thing, the emotional thing? I have a single session. It's called the Magic Mirror Session, where I will, read your field and see what's happening for you and pick up precisely the core event or events that are affecting, the trajectory or, what it is that you're wanting to align with. And then we'll do the energy work around that to clear that. And then typically what happens is that people, want to step into something deeper after that, where I bring them into a 3-month mentorship or a 6-month mentorship where we can actually come together and focus on creation and finding what your superpower is and activating that, and, clearing away what is, what the conditions or the programs about who you are, what you should be doing, and moving forward and creating and being, sharing your art, your message, or doing work that you love, or, coming in alignment with that, soulmate love, or, implementing that business that's been sitting, in your journal for years. So those are a few options that I have right now. So the group, the single session, the mentorship.
Amazing. And how can everyone find you?
Oh, thank you. My website is www.makebigmagic.com.
Wow, that's very simple to remember.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to pin everything anyway, like I said, to the podcast show so people can find you easily. But no, thank you so much, Kelly Ann, for coming on and sharing your magic and, talking us through these amazing stories that you have with clients and stuff like that. I think it's really important for the listeners to hear, all the different personalities and people involved in this. It's not all love and light. There's all types of stuff going on, and I think it's
Yes.
important that people realize that. So yes, but thank you.
Yeah, I think it's important too for people to realize that there's way more going on and they are way more powerful than they've been conditioned to believe.
Mm-hmm.
And when you have the, when you have the tools and when you have the awareness and when you have, the support to get you there quicker. I found my way here, but I also had a lot of support along the journey.
Yeah.
So, the work that you're doing and what you're creating here is such a gift to the world. So thank you for inviting me to be a part of it.
You're so welcome. It's been amazing. Okay, take care, guys, and thank you. And make sure you tune in to our next show. Take care, Kelly Ann. Thank you again. Bye.